Canada demonstrates a wealth of resources, industries, and possibilities. I am so proud to represent those in my riding of Foothills and across our country as the Conservative Shadow Minister for Agriculture and Agri-Food. I will continue to stand shoulder to shoulder with our farmers as they struggle under the burden of these costly taxes and regulations from the Prime Minister's Liberal NDP government. I am joined today by my new colleague and good friend, Brandon Leslie, the new Member of Parliament from Portage Lisgar, Manitoba, who carries a wealth of knowledge and experience on agriculture and agri-food.
Thanks, John. It is wonderful to be here representing those in my riding and across our country that are feeling the effects both carbon taxes have on our production costs and our grocery costs. We are standing at the Senate of Canada as Bill C-234 passes from second reading to the committee stage, being debated in the Senate Standing Committee on Agriculture and Forestry. Bill C-234, sponsored by our Conservative colleague MP Ben Lobb, is a critical piece of legislation which aims to exempt the cost of the carbon tax for farmers when using natural gas and propane for necessary production activities such as grain drying, irrigating land, and heating and cooling livestock barns.
For the next several weeks, this important bill will be studied by senators who will hear from important witnesses with the hopes of passing this bill onto the next stage and eventually becoming law. As our country struggles with record high inflation, cost of living, and food prices, our family farms are feeling the financial burden to produce food for our families and our friends across Canada and certainly around the world. We have seen firsthand how farmers are impacted under the federal carbon taxes, higher interest rates, and punitive regulations. The devastating stories we're hearing from farmers across the country paint a stark reality facing our agriculture and agri-food industries. We just cannot afford the Trudeau government any longer.
And the latest PBO updated analysis of Bill C-234 was concrete evidence that the operations of our Canadian farmers cannot take much more. Our industries cannot afford the Liberal government's burdensome carbon tax. The report shows the annual cost of the tax to farmers would rise from $76 million in 2023-2024 to $162 million in 2030. This coincides with the Trudeau government's plan to increase the price on carbon emissions from $65 per ton in 2023 to $170 per ton by 2030.
Altogether, farmers will pay almost $1 billion in carbon taxes alone by 2030. No Canadian farmer will be able to afford these burdensome taxes and have their operations remain economically viable. Agriculture is an incredibly valuable pillar of our economy, and it's key to our economic recovery. However, Canadian farm families are disappearing at an unsustainable and alarming rate due to the stifling Liberal carbon tax.
Now, Conservatives had made multiple legislative attempts at removing the carbon tax from on-farm uses of propane and natural gas, dating back to February of 2020. Bill C-206, the predecessor to C-234, made it to the final stages in the Senate in 2021, but died before receiving royal assent as the Liberals called a federal election. Canadians cannot afford this bill to be held up any longer in the Senate.
So today, as we stand here in front of the Senate, we are calling on all senators to support Bill C-234 and advocate for our hardworking and dedicated farm families across Canada. This common sense bill has the ability to save our farmers close to $1 billion and help restore their economic viability and make food more affordable for Canadians. We are already seeing the skyrocketing food bank numbers and millions of families are going hungry. This Liberal government obviously does not want to see the connection between higher costs and inputs imposed on our farmers and the cost increases at the grocery store shelf. Bill C-234 is the change we need because without farmers, we have no food.